To an outsider, there seems to have been a lot of turmoil and turnover in the Oconee County school system over the past 2 years. For example, the flap over increased compensation for board members, the land purchase, and new superintendents and principals. What do you see as the cause, and how would you go about fixing it?
Okay, I heard the word turnover and turmoil. Turnover, I think you're referring to the fact that we have replaced 4 principals. At least I hope that's what you were referring to. Obviously, 3 of them retired, and they have earned that. We wish them well, and I think we did have some great replacements that had gone through Aspire leadership class that we had at the board. As far as turmoil, there has been some, and you know there's a quote out there. People are like tea bags. You never know how strong they are until you put them in hot water. I feel that I've been tested. I've been in the hot water. I do also feel that, you know, we learn from experience, both good and bad. And I do think that anytime you have 5 individuals, it's hard to get them all to agree all the time. And we do have to work as a cohesive group. It's very important. Just like with your family, with your job, on any boards that you serve, if you do not have some cohesiveness, do not agree, you won't get anything accomplished. And in this case, the ones who would suffer would be the students. So I think it's very important that we work as a team.
Kim talked a little about tea bags, but some of the things that have been done have brought me to a boil, and that's why I'm here. This, because I think that it's been ineffective leadership by the board, not by all members of the board, but by some members of the board. I don't believe that they've looked at what's truly valuable in this county and tried to save these schools. Instead, the schools have slid down because of what some of these board members have done. They seem to vote as a block. There doesn't seem to be any discussion on issues that I can tell, and it just doesn't seem that there's any parent involvement either.
I'm sorry. Thank you. My response would be that, you know, Oconee County has an excellent school system. In fact, it's one of the top school systems in the state of Georgia. And in terms of people moving and changing jobs, some of that might be just simple attrition, you know, related to other factors. If I'm elected to the board, I would like to have open communication with the teachers, the administrators, the students, the parents, and have everybody a part of this process. And if there is turmoil, then the solutions will be much easier because we've got everybody that's having a response to those situations.
First thing I wanted to say is public education is not free, as every property owner in this room knows. We pay our taxes. And my concern has been recently the cost of the administration in the schools. I'm kind of tired of hearing we need to cut teachers. And it doesn't seem like anyone ever considers cutting administration costs. And I'm wanting to know what your thoughts are on how we can cut administration costs.
Anytime that you're putting a budget together, it requires a lot of thought process. And you know, over the years, it has moved to certain levels. And I think anytime you can reduce costs, that's what you need to do. I think you need to look at all of the jobs that everybody has and make sure that everybody is being productive and that we just don't have positions that are created just for a person. It needs to be a productive position that is being accountable to the taxpayers. And I think that is one of the jobs that has to be evaluated and has to be evaluated by the board.
When I said free education, I was comparing that to private education. You don't pay, yes, you do pay taxes, but those people who send their children to private school not only pay taxes, they also pay tuition, textbooks, transportation, and so on. And as far as cutting administration, there are certain requirements by SACS that you have to have a certain number of administrators in the building according to the number of students you have. However, if you're making cuts, The one part that we want to affect the least is obviously student achievement, and we would like to make fewer cuts in the classroom. So yes, I would be in favor of cutting administration if possible, as opposed to cutting teachers or parents, or anybody that works directly with students in the classroom.
Yeah, I would agree that if it comes to the fact that we have to have cuts, there's going to be cuts across the board. Administrators are going to be included in that. I don't think there's any sacred cows out there in this school system.
There have been allegations in the past, Bill, that previous school boards have made citing decisions on schools without consideration of all the factors as far as what it was going to cost the county taxpayer sum total for putting schools in certain areas. I know at last week's forum we heard sort of, I guess you'd say, a warm and fuzzy response from BOE, BLC that we need to work together. What I would like to ask you is, if you're looking at citing a new school, and from an education standpoint, you feel like that location A is the best location for that school, but all things considered, infrastructure and whatnot, it's obvious that location B makes the most sense for the taxpayers of Oconee County. Which location would you go with? The one that makes the most sense for putting a school there, or the one that makes the most sense for taxpayers across the county?
Well, obviously, we want to go with the one that makes the most sense for the taxpayers. We have buses that can get them wherever in the county they need to go. Obviously, though, there is a gas price, but we want to do what's best for the taxpayers and what's best for the students. And we do need to work in close conjunction with the commissioners to get the infrastructure, and if the infrastructure is already there, perhaps that's where we should build.
Yeah, in our current economic climate, we're going to build where the infrastructure is already there. I mean, period. You go with what the taxpayers need right now, because we're in such a climate that we can't be spending an exorbitant amount of dollars to put a school over here. If we've got the infrastructure there and that's where the taxpayers need it to be, that's where it should be.
We need to be good stewards of what we're handed to us in terms of our tax dollars and our facilities and everything like that. The one thing that is difficult sometimes is to try to decide when you have a situation between the students, teachers versus the plan, then that's something, again, I would encourage input from citizens like you, the teachers, the administrators, people that are really on the front line that are having to deal with this. Because the more input that we get into these decisions, the better results we're going to have.